Hello, Rebels of the Sherpa Revolution. Normally, I start off this podcast by saying hi, but I'm going to start this one off by saying hydration. We know how important hydration is for our bodies. It's the thing that keeps us running, right? You want to be a well-oiled machine. You want to be running efficiently. You know what can help you run efficiently? Liquid IV. It is the category-winning hydration brand fueling your well-being, and the hydration multiplier is the one product that you are missing in your daily routine. It comes in a little stick that's a powder, and in just one stick, you get 5 essential vitamins and 2 times faster hydration than water alone. If you use it first thing in the morning, maybe before a workout, when you feel run down, maybe after a long night out and doing a little partying, you know what I mean? And even what if you have like a long flight or something like that and you just bleh, right? We all feel that way, bleh. So add this to your water, and that convenient packaging can go with you anywhere you go, even if you're going to the gym or you're traveling or you're at work and maybe you didn't have a great breakfast. At least it's something that will fuel you up in the morning, and there's a whole bunch of flavors that are available, like sea berry, strawberry lemonade, Concord grape, lemon lime, pina colada, tropical punch, watermelon, strawberry, passion fruit, guava, acai berry. Did I say that right? I never know how to say that. But those are just some of the flavors. Here's some statistics for you folks. 1 stick of liquid IV in 16 ounces of water contains 5 essential vitamins: B3, B5, B6, B12, and even vitamin C. And we all know how important those B vitamins are. It's got 3 times the electrolytes of traditional sports drinks. It's made with premium ingredients. It's non-GMO, and it is free from gluten, dairy, and soy. I'm going to offer you a great deal, Rebels. If you go to liquidiv.com and use offer code Sherpa, you can get 20% off of anything that you order on that site when you're shopping for some better hydration. So that's Liquid IV. Check it out at liquidiv.com.
Too Many Podcasts is brought to you in cooperation with the SJ Network. If you are a person who would like to appear on podcasts, contact Stephen Joyner at s-j-network.com. We now direct you to the Sherpa Chalet, where we will turn it over to Jim the Podcast Sherpa. How he got this job is anyone's guess.
This week on Too Many Podcasts, our guest is Jonathan Rosen. Jonathan has written many children's books, and he co-hosts the YouTube shows Pop Culture Retro and Comics and Pop. I can relate to his pop culture obsession. When my girlfriend said she was leaving because of my obsession with the monkeys, I thought she was joking. And then I saw her face.
Welcome to Too Many Podcasts, the podcast about podcasts. Now, podcasting from the Sherpa Chalet on Mount Podcastia, here's your host, Jim, the Podcast Sherpa.
Hello there, Rebels of the Sherpa Revolution. Welcome to Too Many Podcasts. It is the podcast about podcasts and so much more. Jim, the Podcast Sherpa, coming to you from Sherpa Studios in the Sherpa Chalet, high atop Mount Podcastia, talking about all the many podcasts in the hills and valleys of Mount Podcastia and bringing them to you. And I've got a really interesting guest today.
Who's our guest today, Sherpa?
His name is Jonathan Rosen. Not only is he an author, but he also has a YouTube program about pop culture. And I got to know him for a little bit, and I think you're going to like this guy. It was a really interesting conversation. He was a lot of fun. He's definitely got a young at heart spirit, and he really kind of gets into that too. But we'll talk about writing kids' books and, of course, his YouTube channel as well. And if you should go see that last Indiana Jones movie, even though it's been out for a while. I think it's on Disney Plus now. Am I going to watch it? We'll have to wait and see, Rebels. We'll have to wait and see. But in the meantime, have a listen to my conversation with Mr. Jonathan Rosen. Hello there, Rebels. We are here in a really sunny Florida room right now. Well, at least I am through the camera somehow. I'm kind of looking through the window of my guest. Don't worry, he knows that I'm here. It's not like I'm stalking him or anything like that. His name is Jonathan Rosen. He is an author of numerous children's books, such as From Sunset to Sunrise, Night of the Living Cuddle Bunnies, Rockefeller Caper, Why Do Animals Go There? Why Do Animals Live There? And Jaguar F-Type Vroom Cars. He is also the co-host of 2 YouTube channels, Pop Culture Retro and Comics and Pop. Jonathan Rosen, welcome to the show.
Hey, Jim, thanks for having me.
It's a pleasure to have you, sir. You are originally a Brooklyn guy.
I am a Brooklyn guy. I lived all over, but yes, I am a Brooklyn guy. It seems like, growing up, we moved a lot of places and always wound up back in Brooklyn. I'm not sure I would ever move again now, but I do like Brooklyn. I'm proud to be a Brooklynite, yes.
I'm not going to put words in your mouth. Could you please tell everybody what the best thing is about Brooklyn?
Pizza?
There you go.
Pizza. I have not found any pizza as good as Brooklyn pizza, and that's that's my personal opinion, but that's it's not just an opinion, it's the truth. But it's fun. It was a fun place to grow up in. I lived all over, but like I said, I did live, grow majority of my years in Brooklyn. And where I grew up was a section called Gravesend in Brooklyn, which I use in one of my books, actually, that section, because I love the name. But the funny thing about it is that you can just walk down the street, and in the middle of buildings, a couple of buildings, there's like a 250-year-old cemetery, right in the middle of two apartment buildings. So that's always a fascinating little aspect to me, which I've walked by several times. And like I said, I do love the name itself.
Yeah, I was going to say, at least it's an appropriate name. It's not going to be like,
yes,
surprise, you're going to find a graveyard here.
I'm not sure I can live right next to look out my window and see a cemetery right there. But yes, it is fascinating to see.
I'm living in the don't look out the window suites.
Yes, exactly.
So now you went from Brooklyn and now you live in Florida.
I'm in Florida now, yeah.
You gave up the good pizza, but...
Yes, no, the pizza's not the same for sure. No offense to anyone who makes pizza here in South Florida, but pizza's definitely not the same.
But you got the nicer weather, though.
That's for sure, 100%. I like going out in January in shorts.
That is true. You get that one unfair advantage.
Where are you at? Where you live now? You didn't ask me that.
Oh, I'm here in the Sherpa Chalet on Mount Podcastia, of course.
Oh, of course.
I was going to say another unfair advantage that folks from Brooklyn have is they understand what a stoop is.
Yes. But we played stoop ball, right? For sure. Like throwing the ball against the steps and that was a lot of fun. But yes, the people would sit out on the stoop.
Yeah. I think when you say that to other people, they look at you like, well, what is a stoop?
Right. Yes, that's very true.
It's definitely a unique term. So you have 3 children.
Yes.
And how old are your kids now?
We're getting really personal. So it's like my kids
why I'm asking now.
Yeah, my kids are all older, and it saddens me that I have 2 in their young 20s and 1 on the verge of finishing high school.
Okay. When they were smaller, were they the inspiration behind you writing the kids' books, or was there anything else there?
No. You know what? I do. It's probably because I never grew up from that age. But, I love writing for the middle grade age. It's funny I say that because I'm trying to veer out. Currently, my agent is shopping an adult book that I wrote, a thriller. But I do love writing for that middle grade age because there's such a sense of wonder in that age, discovering things. And you get, everything's like a mystery. Everything's like, and I used to daydream in class about different stories and encouraged by one of my teachers, but I loved reading middle grade books. And those are always the books that stuck with me growing up. My favorite books now are like, still the books that I read at that age. It's, and it didn't even have to be kids' books. It's just that I read it from that age just because it inspired me to start daydreaming about different things and different stories and scenarios.
Yeah. I guess that really offers an explanation too, as to why people love like the Harry Potter books and why they love to read comic books. And
I love comics.
You're a Spider-Man fan.
I'm a big Spider-Man fan. Yes. I have I stopped collecting a while ago, but I still have like all the boxes that I did, and it's still have probably close to 4,000 comics. So
wow. Do you have any like super collectibles right now?
I do. I still have the giant size X-Men one. I have the first Wolverine in the Incredible Hulk. So I do have some. I do have a few nice ones in there.
Do you keep them all like protected, like in case that plastic stuff and all that?
Not all of them are in the plastic things. Some are. I probably should have more of them in the plastic, but the important ones are safe, I guess. But yeah, it was always, comics were always a great escape. reading up. And like you just said, the Harry Potter books. I mean, I love the Harry Potter books now. And the funny thing is, like, I went to London. I was on a trip to London. It's the only time I've ever been there. But as the Harry Potter books were coming out there.
Okay.
And so it was before here. And I never thought anything special of it. And then later on here, it became this phenomenon.
I know it kind of took the world by surprise. I think it was just one of those kind of all of a sudden things with J.K. Rowling.
Yeah, look, they're incredible books, fantastic books. Yeah.
When you get these ideas for the books, I mean, what is it? Just things that kind of come in your head, or were they based on things maybe from your kids growing up or you growing up?
Everything. Story, and I think a lot of authors will probably tell you this too. Inspirations for story strikes all the time. I mean, there's no way. I have like files and files of stories ideas. Just like huge files of story ideas. So it comes to me, I jot down the main idea and like a little pinpoint, a couple of pinpoints about what the story is going to be about, and I keep them. And then I'll decide which one I'm going to get to next. There's no way I'll ever get to all of them, but it's I do have files of ideas that I want to work on. It's something.
That's a nice secure thought. Or at least, you don't have to worry too much about writer's block. It's like, I'll just go to the file.
Well, no, look, I think writer's block is, I'll say I don't believe in it. I'm so, because I think it's just a matter of either fear or laziness. Maybe not laziness, but it's a lot of fear. Like, I don't want to mess up. Getting stories ideas is not the issue. It's, the execution of it. So I think that's what writer's block is. Deciding whether or not how you're going to tackle the story, and that you don't want to mess up the story. Maybe you don't have it fully formulated in your mind yet. Like, going back to as a kid, like I remember sitting in class and looking at a globe, the globe. And I said, wouldn't it be cool if I could just touch a country and automatically this magic glove will appear in that country? So stories can like hit you from any place. And that's what I said. I spend all day writing it down, and I'm upset. Sometimes I'll think of the stories in the middle of the night and think, I'll remember in the morning, and then I don't, and it pisses me off. I should have written it down.
I was looking at your website, houseofrosen.com, and you've got like a little bio on you, and I think it's really interesting because a lot of the things that you write about yourself, you seem to. I think your inner psyche is definitely in touch with like you as a kid.
Yeah, that's for sure, 100%. It's like I said, in my mindset is the books and movies that I enjoyed at that age.
Mm-hmm.
The movies, and like, I don't want to speak for you, but I'm, might be the same, that the movies that we saw during that period of our lives are the ones that stuck with me the most.
Sure.
That, and I just look at it, and, even I was a bit older than that age, but like, when you look at Stand By Me, the movie Stand By Me, that's the age that, that sense of wonder that, going out with your friends and the adventures you have with your friends, and the stories that you can all share and tell together. That's that age. Even though that like I said, I was probably older when that came out, mm-hmm. but that age is the age that I like to write for.
Yeah, and I guess I'm not sure if you grew up like during the '80s, but I think there were definitely a lot of movies that really tapped into that, with like the Goonies and even like Indiana Jones, when like because they were kids in that movie as well. And
I'm a huge 80s kid, and like I keep telling, they might tell they're sick of it. I keep telling my kids there's no decade like the 80s, best decade ever. But yes, that's when I grew up. Those are the movies that I'm most fond of, the movies that came out during that decade. So Indiana Jones is tied for my favorite movie of all time, the Raiders. Okay. But it's that sense of wonder of seeing those movies. And Goonies is another one that I do love.
Yeah, I haven't seen the last Indy Jones yet. I know it's on Disney Plus. Not to give them a plug or anything.
Save yourself, don't.
Don't? No. I didn't like the last one either. I was kind of really disappointed.
In your mind, just let it stop at 3. But those 3 are the only ones made, and just to pretend otherwise.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's I was not happy, and I waited. I wasn't going to pay for it. I shouldn't say that. I wasn't going to pay for it, but I did finally watch it. That it came free on streaming on Disney Plus, and everything that I read about it was true. So
it's a shame though when they make TV shows or movies that they want to bring out your sense of nostalgia, and it just doesn't really capture that. It's like, no, this isn't how I remember it.
Well,
like they're trying too hard.
At the risk of getting in trouble here, it's I think a lot of problems now is that they ignore what made the movie fun to begin with for that, and now they're pushing modern sensibilities or agendas onto the thing that people loved about it to begin with, and it takes away from it to its detriment. And that you'll see if you watch the last Indiana Jones thing, you will see definitely that that's what occurred.
Okay, so I will keep that in mind. I will take it off of my to watch list.
Watch it on your own set. You'll have to let me know how you like it.
I have a feeling I'm going to go, Jonathan was right.
Yeah, I have that same feeling, but I don't want to. You let me know.
So when you're writing for people much younger than you, the kids,
right?
Is it hard to like kind of get yourself in that frame of mind to like you don't want to like talk above them, but you don't want to sound too childish either, right? You want to kind of give them a language that they're speaking.
Yeah, I think one of the important things is I write just to entertain. I don't write. I'm not giving any message. I'm not preaching. I'm writing to entertain. I'm writing for me. I'm writing for 12-year-old me.
Okay.
What entertained me at that age, what gave me the sense of wonder. And I think kids, there are a lot of books. I'm not saying that every book cannot be about message, of course, yes. But I think kids do pick up when, hey, they're trying to push something on me instead of, they can pick that up. So I just write to entertain, have fun, give them that sense of entertainment. So yeah, it's like I said, I'm the audience. And if I'm writing for me, if someone likes it, that's great. I love that. It makes me happy. If someone doesn't, it's okay too. But I'm writing what entertains me, and hopefully it finds an audience.
Was there a kid's book that spoke to you when you were younger?
Well, you know what my favorite books were when I was younger, and I actually did a podcast episode on this. I don't know if you remember the Choose Your Own Adventure books.
Okay, yeah, no, I've heard of them. I don't really know that much about them.
Those books, I poured through those books. It's it's written they're all written in second person. You were the star of the book, and so then you made choices. And it never gave a character's name, which is you were this, and so all the characters are talking to you. So. And I would, like I said, I would pour through them, and everything was a different topic. There was like things on aliens, things on time travel, things on pirates or whatever it was. And so every single time we went to the mall, back in the days when they had the bookstores in the malls,
right?
Walden Books and B. Dalton's, my dad would get me another one, and then I would finish it, the same day or whatever. And then the next time we went, he would get me another one. So those are my favorite books growing up, and I still have a lot of them here in the house.
Mm-hmm.
And, I liked a lot of books that I like, the Hardy Boys I grew up with too,
sure.
And things like that. But the Choose Your Own Adventure books are my favorite growing up.
A while back, I had an interview with somebody who was a host of a very, very popular podcast, Stacking Benjamins. I don't know if you've ever heard it. And when he came out with his book, he styled it in the style of the Hardy Boys, like detective book where you could take notes.
Oh, that's fun.
And that was like your financial homework, though, and like your checklist. So he said, I was always a big fan of those books. And, it's funny because you don't really tie the two of those things together. But like you said, because those things, they sit in your memory and they have such a special place, he was able to do that.
I'm going to have to check that out. That sounds fun to me. I always used to joke that, that Benton Hardy was probably the worst parent that there was because he let his kid go off all these things, chasing people with guns and, killers and, no supervision whatsoever. But yes, I love the Hardy Boys books.
Like, I guess it probably wouldn't have even been the same. It's like, well, we got a note from our dad, so we can be here to find the criminal.
Right. Yes, exactly.
All right. So you're the co-host of two YouTube channels. How are they different? Tell me a little bit about both of them.
One I do with a couple of friends, childhood friends, the Comics and Pop, which we just go cover things like, movies, comic books, and, TV shows, just, kind of giving out little reviews of what we think on them. And sometimes we'll do specialty ones. It's fun because, like I said, I know these guys for a lot of years. We go way back, and I hate to, over 30 years. So
Okay.
these people. So that's fun. The other one is, the pop culture retro. And I do that. You remember the movie Escape the Witch Mountain?
Yeah.
Okay. So the star of that movie was not a kid anymore. Ike Eisenman. I do that with him. And a lot of fun. We also talk about things from the past from us growing up. We do a lot of interviews of people, there's a lot of celebrities from our youth that we've had on, like, Tommy Chong or Paul Williams, or, people from Voyagers, the show Voyagers, or Little House on the Prairie. So we've done that. And we also do specialty episodes as well. We'll do a forgotten film segment. We talk about films that didn't get their due, maybe, or
Right.
that have, like I said, totally been forgotten about, or, just not as remembered today as they should be, or that they were. And so we do a segment on that. And it's been so much fun. It really has been, we've done movies. He picked one for forgotten films, like he did the movie, I don't remember, Shakes the Clown. So, that with, Bobcat Goldthwait.
Right. Okay.
Right. And I was ready to tear my hair out 20 minutes in. But, we picked others. I picked this movie like Happy Texas, which I'm fond of. So we each take turns picking like forgotten films and things. So it's fun. But, it's also fun to get to do the interviews with people that you grew up liking, you grew up admiring. And so, sometimes you get awestruck and, remember like, oh, wow, I really loved this person as a kid. And I won't mention names, and everyone has just been so gracious. Only one time has someone been disappointing to me, but for the majority of the time, like 99.9%, everyone has been so kind and so gracious. And it's just wonderful to get to speak to these people on a different level.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, Jonathan, you were talking about being awestruck. Who were one of the folks that had you awestruck?
Paul Williams had me awestruck.
Yeah.
Differently, Paul Williams had me awestruck just because I'm so fond of him as a kid. And he was great talking to now. And so that was a lot of fun. And for different reasons, Mino Pulitz I liked because I was Voyagers. It was only lasted one season. I don't know if you remember the show. And it only lasted one season on the air. It was my favorite show. I loved it. It was like the show that I loved the most as a kid. And it was a time travel show. And getting to speak to him was so much fun. By the same token, what left me speechless was someone who we had on recently wrote into me that he enjoyed the podcast. A celebrity wrote into me that he enjoyed the podcast. And I was like, oh my God. And so we had him on recently, Kevin J. O'Connor from The Mummy. And it was just so much fun to talk to him, hear his stories. He's a fascinating guy.
Yeah, it must be really unique for you. Between the books and the podcast, that you're reaching out to people, and like you said, that re-experiencing that sense of wonder all over again, and that people are buying your books, and that they're checking you out on YouTube, and they want to see what you want to talk about, and and probably stirs some memories for them as well.
I certainly hope so. I mean, look, same reason like you're doing it. You're doing this the same reason I am, because you're having fun doing it.
Sure.
And that's it. And you get to speak to a lot of fascinating people, a lot of fun people. And if it finds an audience, hey, that's great. But that's not why you're doing it. You're doing it because it entertains you, and I do it because it entertains me. And I just like I'm a Phil. Sometimes I can't believe I'm doing this. And it doesn't matter who the guest is. I still find something entertaining in what they're saying. It doesn't matter how famous they were, or maybe they just had a relative little thing, or maybe some behind the scenes person. I love hearing stories. I love hearing someone's stories.
I think that it's almost really become a mission of a lot of podcasters that you get to tell their story. You bring them on, and there's probably a lot of things that just people don't know, and all of a sudden you look at things through a different light as well.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely, for sure. You get to hear, you're hearing other people say things, and it could spark something in you as well. A memory, or just something that, hey, that makes a lot of sense to me too. And, you're doing it because like I said, going back to having fun, and you're you're good with talking, and it's fun to just have conversations. We happen to be recording the conversations, but yes.
Absolutely.
And hopefully my kids or grandkids later on in life will, have something to look at and say, hey, this was my, whatever it was. So
When you're not writing or doing your podcast, are there other podcasts or YouTube shows that you check out?
yeah, I glance, you know what? It just, I find something that, entertains me. Usually I'll look up someone and, and then I see that they were on a guest on someone else or a topic perhaps. And it's just fun. And some interviewers are better than, I don't like, someone dry that just like question, answer. I like giving for it. And you do that well. I've watched a few of your shows already. But, another one I do like is, and he does something different. Dave Sundstrom. I don't know if you've seen his YouTube channel. He does a lot of pop culture things, but he gives like snippet things like, talking about a topic or a celebrity and, goes on a few minutes there. So I've enjoyed his channel as well.
And we have a portion of the show, and it's called Shameless Self-Promotion. I think you might know a little bit about that, being given the business that you are in, sir. So this is where you can let everybody know where they can reach out to you and find out more about your books and your work.
Shameless self-promotion.
I'm all over social media. And in case you're not following me, and I don't know why you're not, I'm really, you should be. But I'm on Twitter and Instagram at House of Rosen. YouTube, Pop Culture Retro and Comics and Pop, and on Facebook, just me, Jonathan Rosen. But, and my website is houseofrosen.com, which I have not updated in forever, and I really should.
Okay. Are there any books coming out soon that people should be on the watch for?
I will say one that I was proud of. I helped edit this besides doing it. I'll hold it up if anyone can see. I don't know if this is on. Here we go.
We just audio, yeah.
Yeah, it's called Coming of Age. There we go. I can't. But
it's okay. They're not going to be able to see because we're just audio anyway.
Oh, just audio. So there we go. I'm doing this off a pointer. So anyway, Coming of Age, which is about, bar mitzvah and bat mitzvah stories. So it was important to me, just to have like some Jewish stories out there for kids. Mm-hmm. And, hopefully there will be some others to report on soon. We'll, if I get a call from my agent, I'll let you know. But she's shopping.
And his name is Jonathan Rosen. And check out his YouTube channels and go visit his website and find out all about his books. If you got a young one, I'm sure you're going to find a book that they will definitely enjoy. Jonathan, thanks so much for coming on the show.
Jim, thanks so much for having me. This was a lot of fun.
Now it's time for Sherpa Samples. If you've got a podcast you'd like us to sample, contact us and we'll mention your name on the show.
And now it's time for Sherpa Samples, and it's where your Sherpa, that's me, goes into my deep dive into the mountains and valleys of Podcastia to check out the podcast charts, to talk about some things that are out there. Maybe it might be something you'd like to hear. This week, a lot of reporting podcasts I tended to sample. There's really no rhyme or reason to how I pick these shows out, to be honest with you, but there we have it. Lots of news ones. Science Quickly, which I believe is presented by Scientific American, which is a good publication, by the way. And it's short 10-minute discussions about science and the things in our universe. And also Pivot with Kara Swisher and Scott Galloway is a discussion of a lot of the things in the news that are making headlines, whether it's politics or wars or anything else that is out there. And a lot of panel discussions on that. Really good news program. I like that. Trashfuture is not the name of a new wave band from the 80s, believe it or not. That's what I thought it first was. But it's actually three gentlemen who I believe reside in the United Kingdom, and it is a discussion of a lot of business going on in there and politics as well. George Conway Explains It All to Sarah Longwell is a discussion of items in the news and their legal ramifications. George Conway is actually a high-powered lawyer and activist. George Conway is married to Kellyanne Conway, who was actually the campaign manager for Donald Trump when he first ran for president. And they actually discuss one of Donald Trump's trials in the episode that I listen to. It's funny, you would think that a podcast discussing legal backgrounds and legal ramifications would be very dry and boring, but there's really some really interesting conversations going on in this podcast, and they definitely, keep you interested in the subject matter that they are talking about. And also around the NFL. And if you don't live in the United States, the NFL is the National Football League, and it's football, not soccer. Sorry, people across the pond. And actually, come to think of it, with the airing of this episode, it's just aired after the Super Bowl, which is the conclusion of the NFL season. And they'll be back again in the fall, but I guess they'll do some stuff in the springtime too with the, USFL or the XFL? It's one of those things. For those people who just can't get enough football. Very special episodes are unusual stories that you may not have heard. And this one was really unusual. I didn't know that during the filming of the movie Titanic, apparently, even director James Cameron and a lot of the crew were drugged unknowingly in, I believe, the chowder that they ate. And it was with PCP. So all the wild stuff that went on with their drugging. Who knew? I wonder how much that freaked them out when the boat actually hit the iceberg. The Y-Files Operation Podcast is about a lot of unusual things, too, with scary monsters and spooky stories and unusual happenings. Like the episode that I listened to had to do with number stations. You ever hear of number stations? These are these radio stations like shortwave that just broadcast these numbers and code, and they all had some sort of significance, and some of them are still in existence today. It's really wild stuff. Wild stuff, I say. Wild stuff. Barely Famous is hosted by Kale Lowry, and I didn't really know who she was until I did some research, and I found out that she was one of the, I think, Teen Moms or 16 and Pregnant, one of those things that was on MTV for a while. And she's got like 7 kids right now. Yikes, 7 kids. She's practically got a baseball team. I hope when spring training rolls around, she's giving them a good workout. Even the Royals is hosted by Brooke Schifrin and Aricia Skidmore Williams. I hope I said that right. Sorry. And they had done a podcast called Even the Rich, and it's all the little scandals that go on with rich people. So they decided to go into stories about royalty. And the story that I listened to was about a Norwegian princess who I believe abdicated her title to marry a shaman, and she wanted to have an angel school or a dream school or something like that. And those 2 ladies were actually on one of my other favorite podcasts, Too Much Information. And if you catch the When Harry Met Sally episode, you will hear those 2 ladies speaking with my buddy Jordan Rontag and Alex Heigl. And finally, one that I really liked, and I could relate to this movie too. It's called Newcomers, and it's hosted by Nicole Byers and Lauren Lucas. And I believe they were both comedians. Nicole Byers also did a podcast a while back called Why Won't You Date Me? And she's very funny. I like the stuff that she does. And they go into various movie series like Star Wars and Lord of the Rings. And in this episode that I heard, it was Batman. And they check out all of the movies in the franchise. And because they've never seen them the first time around. So they talk about their impressions of catching the movies. And it was really good. I enjoyed listening to them talk about Batman Forever, as a matter of fact. Yeah, and Batman Forever was Val Kilmer as Batman. So I say, back to the Sherpa Chalet, Robin. It's time for the outro.
Let's get back to the Sherpa.
Sorry about that.
No!
Hey, very special thanks to Jonathan Rosen, and be sure to catch his podcast on YouTube, either one of them. And if you've got a youngin' in your life, make sure to pick up one of Jonathan's books wherever fine books are sold. Yes, they're very fine books, of course. Those are the only books that we discuss on the podcast. Fine books. Yes. I don't know what I'm talking about. So anyway, we will be back next week. Of course we will. And if you get the chance, follow me on social media. Sherpolution is the word that you need to know on Facebook, Instagram, X, and TikTok. And you can see all my cute little videos. Or you can even pay us a visit on Sherpolution.com, and everything is there, every episode, from the beginning through beyond, of course. And it'll take you to the link to the T-Sherpa shop where you can buy podcast merchandise, which you can also win by leaving me a nice review on Apple Podcasts. And now you're thinking about it now, huh? Finally, I've gotten through. I don't know. I think it's time to get on out of here. Lord, Mr. Bruce, quick, get my straitjacket and let's move on out of here. And until then, rebels, I say to you, Viva la Sherpolution.
Thanks for listening to Too Many Podcasts. Please disperse. You can go home now. I said you can go home now. Viva la Sherpolution. Viva la Sherpolution. Oh. I'll come back now, you hear?
You know, Rebels, if you've been checking out some of my promotional ads on social media, you will be aware that I have been using a lot of AI programs to help me create ads. But you know what? There's a lot more uses for AI than just funny little videos. And I'd like to introduce one of our new sponsors, Podium. It is a leader in creating AI tools for podcasters. Now, let's say you've got a podcast, or maybe you're even thinking of doing a podcast. You're probably wondering, well, how can AI be integrated with your workflow? I'll tell you about Podium. As a podcaster, you know that writing show notes and creating chapters and transcribing episodes takes a lot of time, and it can cost you a lot of money too. But you know what? That's where Podium comes in. It's an AI tool designed specifically for creators and podcasters with the goal of making post-production tasks quick and easy. And in just a few minutes, Podium generates show notes, chapters, summaries, clips for social media, a full transcript, suggested episode titles, social media posts, and more. Whew, that's a lot of work for one little program. Your show notes are key to your podcast's success because it helps new listeners find your podcast and they'll know if it's a fit for them, kind of like Too Many Podcasts. It also improves your SEO, that's your search engine optimization. Ooh, big phrase there. And overall accessibility. And with Podium, you can focus on creating a great podcast and let Podium's AI do the heavy lifting. But Podium isn't just for solo creators and podcasters. It's a game changer for editors, producers, marketers, agencies, and production studios. Teams that use Podiums are able to increase workloads, decrease turnaround times, and improve their quality. How does it work? Very easy. First, go to Podium's website, and you'll see that link that's right there in the show notes. You get 3 hours free just to try it. Pretty cool, huh? And using that link also supports this show as well. And you know what else happens? Because I'm a good guy. You use my link, you will get 50% off for your first month. So visit the site, upload an MP3 file, and download your files, and that's it. And if you need anything else, you can use Podium GPT to generate articles and any marketing copy you might need in seconds. Instant show notes, transcripts, chapters for your podcast or channel. This will level up that podcast. So check out Podium today.